So there's our agenda for today. As I look around, I swear every meeting I see a lot of new members. I know this guy's a new member because I actually know him from two other aspects of my life. So I'm gonna pick on you first. I'm gonna start with you. You want to just introduce yourself and
My name's Sean Philippi, live in Glen Mills, been here about 8 years. We've got 3 acres, pretty rural. My wife and I are into sustainability. We reclaim all of our wood to heat the house in the winter. Chickens, enormous garden, bees seems like a natural next step with one. So I wanted to get into beekeeping, and I really want the honey for my moonshine, so that I can say I made a batch of moonshine just from what's on my property. So I'll look forward to that. I know it's difficult, but step 1 of the book I'm reading says join your local beekeeping association.
there's a book that says to join us.
It's Beekeeping for Dummies. That's my source of knowledge. And just coincidentally, right, I see Donna's email and I'm like, oh, Donna, she's got something going on, hockey, pickleball. And I'm like, beekeeping. But I just aligned with a new therapist who's right down the road. He is a beekeeper of 8 years. So this is quite popular. I don't know if you call it hobby or lifestyle, but happy to be here.
Aggravation. It's called aggravation.
Yeah,
The
aggravation.
in the book.
How many other new beekeepers do we have in the room? Yes, I don't recognize you guys. That can't be it. One more. You, come on, raise your hands. And you, yeah, never, and you. Okay, so it's a lot. So let me move from my left to my right. What's your name and?
My name's Jessica DeBello. Anthony's my husband. He came last week.
Wait,
or last month, sorry.
DeBello?
DeBello. Not DeBella. No, we're not
okay.
related. He's not related. We're just interested in being more sustainable. We also have chickens and a garden and wood stove and all that. And we got a beehive last year and it didn't go so well, but I do everything backwards. So I should have taken this or joined you guys last year and done the research, and we just want to learn more.
That's okay. I did it backwards too. You'll be fine.
We do everything backwards.
And on the sidelight, Anthony volunteered to help out with the Bondsville Mill.
Oh, that's
Management.
Anthony.
We can walk there.
Yeah.
We live right behind it.
That's awesome. And then there was somebody else who over here. You're new.
I was here last month, but I'm Tim Mooney. I live out in Nottingham, but I've been beekeeping for about 4 years. I got 2 hives that they make it through the winter. I got 2 hives. My grandmother bee kept, and then my parents did, so that was my turn.
Oh, wow. So you're not really that new. You're kind of seasoned.
Yeah, I'm new to formal.
Gotcha. Well, welcome everybody. And you guys are new?
Yep. Brian and Annabelle Owen. We live in the Lincoln University, New London area. Also with the moon shining. Just, but actually more we're one of the people that have chickens and now want to get bees. Kind of
Nice. Nice, awesome. You don't have bees yet, right?
Not yet, but we do really we are signed up for the course.
Good.
We're going to take that together, but we do really want to get started this year. So that was like one of our first questions. You'd have to kind of talk us out of it, but we're willing to listen, But we'd really like to, kind of get started. We could.
Awesome. And no. Yes, there we go.
Last month, but my name is Susie Warner. I live in Spring City. I am a homeschool mom. I have chickens, so just like you guys, next is bees. So here I am, and this will be my first year of it. But my kids got me a hive for Christmas, so
I think
now
I remember you saying that now.
So this is like our curriculum in a sense.
Awesome. Well, welcome. And then there's another one over here.
My husband actually joined, and so I'm kind of here for him today. But we're going to go on a journey together to hopefully raise some bees.
Awesome. And what area are you in?
Downtown, just right behind the high school.
Downtown. Okay. All right. Well, welcome. Anybody else? No.
I'm new.
Yeah. One of the things that we're going to do
But
today.
along with the bees and the the chickens, rabbits.
Yeah, there you go. One of the things that we're going to do today is we're going to break down the equipment. For those of you who took like a beginner or been working with somebody, you're probably going to already know this. But I know when I was new and it was like I was faced with getting equipment and I looked at the book and I'm like, what the hell is all of this? Like I just don't understand all these pieces. So we're going to actually break it down today and talk about that a little bit.
Go ahead, George.
George isn't here. Move on.
Right.
So, there's a break, for those of you who are new, there's the breakdown of our, officers. George, who is our president, is, like I said, away. I'm Donna. Mark Meters is over there. Carissa isn't with us today. I believe she's on Zoom. Russ Lux is somewhere. There he is right there on his phone. And, Howard is over here. And then Chris. Did Chris come today?
No, he's recovering.
His
from the
wife
trip to
is here.
California.
Okay. So those are our officers, and then we also have some board of directors. Oh no, committee leads. We're going to skip the board of directors. We're going to go to committee leads. So we have in this club, we have, if you can figure out how to navigate our website, which we are actually in the process of redoing. We have different programs. And a lot of times you will find these programs under our committee page. So if you go into the tab that says members,
Members then log.
there we go. We have
First
to
you have
log,
to
yeah,
log
first
in.
you have to log in. That was confusing for me in the well. Members menu, and then at the very top is committee. You also, if you go down to the member directory, you can find anybody in the club that way. So these different programs are in our committees. Real fast, because I know if I don't do it now, I'm gonna forget. At the bottom, we have a women's beekeeping club. And it's not necessarily segregated for just women. It's basically just a program where women get together and decide some activities that we want to do. One of the things that the Women's Club is doing is they're going to put on a speaker series. They did it last year. They started it. We're doing it again. And they've got 3, actually Sheena or Yasmin. If you want to just tell me the names of, here we go. So we got Marina who's going to do honey tasting. And that is going to be, when is it? February 17th?
Soon.
Monday.
We got Julia Mahood, who's known for tracking DCAs. If you don't know what a DCA is, it's a drone congregation area. It's where all the boy bees go to hopefully mate with a queen bee. And she tracks that, and we're going to be doing a lot of activity with that kind of stuff this year. And then the other one we've got, this is kind of Sheena's thing, because she's our horticultural person, is Doug Talmy. Am I saying that right? Talmy. And Doug is what's Doug gonna talk about?
Oh, he's going to get us really excited about the native plants in our sale.
Awesome.
He's going to talk about alien plants, and I know a lot of people ask me like, well, why should I plant a native plant? And I'm not really great at talking as well as this dude, so he's going to be able to clarify why I'm pushing natives on the club more than maybe we used to.
Right, and when you say like, why should we plant natives, it's because honeybees aren't really native to our area, right? So you're trying to say like, but they do feed on native plants.
Somewhat. Yeah,
So-
I mean, sometimes I think that we should start thinking about insects outside of the ones we care for.
Correct. So
And he gives a good argument for why.
I'm looking forward to this and learning some more about this.
Can I talk more about the honey sommelier thing?
Yeah, please do.
So her whole deal is, why don't we talk about honey like we talk about wine and cheese and chocolate? It's a premium product, and when you taste a jar of honey, if you sell honey in particular, it shouldn't just be spring honey, light, fall honey, dark. It should be, what are the floral sources? What's the terroir? How do you really taste the honey to really understand where it came from? So Marina Marchese, she has 3 books out. Her first book was The Honey Connoisseur. She has the World Atlas of Honey out now. So she's sort of like the original person who sort of came up with the idea of tasting honey and really understanding what the honey is. So if you sell honey in particular, you might want to tune into to this to explain honey, get a better sort of vocabulary to explain honey to your customer.
For sure.
And enjoy it better yourself.
And that's next Monday, not this Monday coming up, but the following Monday. So guys, make sure you tune in for that. You want to talk about this?
Sure. So we have 4 apiaries in the club. We have the one that will be right outside the door here. That's going to be set up here in the next month or so. It's an Eagle Scout project that they're putting in. So he's going to be putting in the fencing, and then we're going to be providing the hive. And then I think Chuck and Damon, you guys are going to be the managers. One of our courses will be here. One will also be at Cheslin, which is where the Queen team does their work, as well as the apprentice yard. And then we have Bondsville Mill, which is your house, okay, your backyard. And Howard is going to be the apiary. No, Howard's going to help with the teaching at Bondsville Mill, which is,
Scared me there.
yeah. So I'll be there too. Yeah. And then Sugartown is the apiary over at Historical Sugartown, and Yasmin and I are managing that. And then we got some. I can't remember right now off the top of my head who's helping with the teaching there. So we have, I'll be the lead for the beginners course, but so we've got the 4 apiaries. Some of the apiaries have right now 1 hive. That's Sugartown. Bondsville has 2 hives. Right here has 0 hives, and Cheslin has there's like 18 or 19 hives there that are part of the apprentice program. Then Charlie, you've got
Got about 20.
about
Actually, we
20,
have 16.
yeah, 16 to 20 queen rearing hives. So there's quite a bit of stuff going on there, and we will be putting 2 regular size hives here for the beginners. We will be putting 2 to 3 here. Be plussing up Bondsville to 3, and we'll be taking Sugartown 3. So if you get a call for a swarm and you don't have room, call me, because we can home these bees. Because I really don't want to go out and buy a lot of bees. I need to buy a couple of packages, and we'll install them. That's part of the beginners program. But if you run across it, or if you've got somebody that's downsizing, we'll get them inspected and take them off. So the beginners course, March through October, is the classroom, which everybody's in the classroom training as a beginner. Not everyone, but everyone signed up for beginners courses in the classroom training in the single classroom training that month. And then we break out into smaller cohorts. So I think, Russ, you were there when we had 25 or 30 people standing in the corral at Bondsville. And so it's like Russ standing in the back going, I'm holding up the frame and going, see the queen? I can barely see the frame, man. We wanted to downsize the actual lab in hive training to smaller groups. So we're breaking into 4. If we get the demand, we might add up a 5th or even a 6th course as well, just so that we have. I don't want to be overwhelmed. Rush, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I was just trying to look online to see how many people we had registered. I think we might have about 8 to 10 people that are signed up for the apprentice program. I think we had about 5 or 6 teachers the last time. So if anybody's interested in being a teacher for the apprentice program, contact me and we'll get you signed up for that. You have to go online on the CCBA website and buy it, but there's no charge to it if you're the teacher. Does everybody know, most people know what the apprentice program is about, how it's ran? So the apprentice program is just another opportunity for learning about beekeeping. We've got classes that are formalized once a month, and with the apprentice program, you're expected as an apprentice to meet with your teacher every 2 weeks for the entire year. I've had 3 to 5 apprentices at one time, and I had a group session, and you schedule people's time when they're available. I'm retired, so I can be available 7 days a week for people. So what we try to do is you're going to go through the beekeeping year with your teacher and learn more about beekeeping. Okay. If you want to complete the program, you could also buy a nuke that's being raised at Cheslin, like Mark just mentioned, for $75, which is about half the cost of buying a regular nuke. And the nuke is in the little brown box like that. That's what we call a nuke box, which I'll talk a little bit about later. For the teachers, this might not be a big incentive for anybody, but we're going to give all the teachers a CCBA hat this year. So for $15, you can be a teacher and get a free hat. I'm trying to do something to reward the teacher's time because it's a lot of work.
You said it backwards. be a teacher, get a hat that's worth $15.
I understand.
What did I say?
That for $15, you can be a teacher.
Oh. I've had way too much coffee. So that's the apprentice program. So we need some more teacher volunteers. And I think I mentioned what we do is try to set up teachers with people that are within, a 15 to 20-minute drive for the apprentices. So if you want to be, sure.
Russ, and with the apprentice, it's emphasized hands-on, right?
Yes. You're gonna need a bee suit, get a ventilated suit because it's really hot. Over the last several years, it's really bad. So if you get a suit that's all tied up, you will be sweating and sweating and sweating and get really dehydrated. So a ventilated suit is good. And then on the first day, you're gonna go to my hive and we're gonna pop the cover and we're gonna get right into it. We'll do a hive inspection, try to find the queen, see, the bees should be making brood in the next 3 weeks from now, a little bitty, they're not, the whole brood box won't be filled, but a few frames will be filled probably in areas about that big with eggs. So if you want to sign up, we'll talk about it. My phone number is on the website. Give me a call or register, and then we'll be sending more information out. We'll probably after March 1st. So if you sign up as an apprentice, I've already talked to some folks and some teachers, and we'll start to.
For those of you that are new and are beginners, we are going to do a little breakout session at the end where you can ask questions and learn about our 3 different programs that we have. So this is George's Keeping Bees Alive, where
No, it's Donna's.
well, it is technically George's that they put my name over. And in looking at that, he usually talks about 40 minutes, but we're just going to highlight one thing because nobody can begin recognize if their queen is alive right now. And if you are and you find her, she will then be dead. So food. When I heard that George wasn't going to be here only a week ago, I thought, let me take this one step further. And I reached out and I emailed Frank Mortimer, who did our speech at our conference last year. And I reached out and contacted Robin Underwood, who did not do anything at our conference, but we in the Women's Bee Group have done a lot of things with Robin. She works at Penn State and does a lot with Casey and Julia Mahood. And some of this is not their stuff yet, right?
No,
this is George's
this
must
is George's.
And you're going to see a lot of similarities between what the 3 people are saying. And the first thing everybody emphasized was make sure you've got food. And that food's going to be in the form of just throw Mountain Camp, which is just throwing sugar at the top of your hive. You can add fondant, you can add sugar bricks, which I've brought an example of. But one thing that is going to be emphasized is do not put pollen in your hives yet. Keep your insulation on. Don't open the hives unless necessary. Of course, this can be confusing for new people. Obviously, you have to open the hive to put the feed in the top. But when they're saying don't open the hive, they're talking about breaking the boxes apart or pulling out frames. Remove dead bees from the bottom board with a wire hanger. Move hives to a new location. I've already done that in my apiary. Plan on where to get bees and equipment. So Tom McKinney is here. Tom is like right up the road from me. There's Tom. And Tom has some of these papers in the back. Tom is selling nukes and bees. So he's one of the beekeepers in our club that you can reach out to. That would be a good person to contact.
And who else is selling?
Like a lot. We want to get a list up on the website.
And if you're selling bees.
If you're selling bees,
So-
raise your hand. See
Yeah, if you're
Carol,
selling bees-
Howard.
On our website, we have a buy sell. I would like to get a list up there on the website so people can just go to one spot instead of waiting for people to post that they're selling bees, because it seems kind of unnecessary to go through all that. But there is also, if you want to know now, go to the buy sell and ask for bees. Hopefully.
Why would you move your hive now?
Because the bees aren't really coming out and foraging right now. So when in the summertime, if you move the hive, they go out to forage. When they come back, they're like, "Where's my house?" So if you move them now, they're only going out for like what we call a That's only what's that? If you want to move their hives, now's the time to do it. Yeah. All right. So this was Frank's input. Most colonies die in February and March. So make sure your bees have food. If at the top, feed sugar. What does if at the top mean? Cause I was like, well, I think I know what he means by that, but I'm not sure. Does anybody
If
want to?
if you see clusters, oh, sorry.
If you see clusters up in.
You asked the question openly.
So when he said if at the top, and I'm like, my mind went, if the feed is at the top, well, who feeds from the bottom? How would you feed at the bottom? I'm like, Frank, I just want to make sure we're talking about if the bees are at the top. He's like, yeah, the bees are at the top. He's like, they're looking for food. So feed them. Start thinking about Varroa. Now, I asked him a question about Apivar. And those of you who've been beekeeping are familiar with this stuff. This is a synthetic pesticide. This is not considered organic management. So when I asked him about that, he said, yep, it is synthetic. He says, but it is one of the most effective ones. He goes, and it will kill everything. A lot of us in this club are more in lines with organic management and do other things. So you guys have got to decide what your practice is going to be. And if you need help, reach out to somebody.
The other discussion we had about that is if you put on Apivar now, you've got 56 days plus 14 days before you can put the supers on. Well, that's too late.
Far in, yeah.
Yeah, that's too far in the future. One, and two, for those of us who use a technique called demery, where you're pulling frames out of the bottom of the hive that have been apivarred and you're moving them up. Well, you can't take any honey because you're constantly rotating frames that have been treated with apivar, which you should not consume apivar treated honey. That's bad.
But if you do accidentally, I might have done that, you can keep that honey and feed it back to your bees.
This explains a lot.
You know what?
Valid point.
All right, so moving on, repair or rebuild equipment, that's really good advice. Order bees, if you need bees, wash your protective gear. I laughed when I read that because I was like, man, am I like weird? I wash my gear all year long. Like if I go out to my hive and my bees are, why? I don't know. I wash my hockey gear. Hockey people don't wash their gear. I do. See?
You can wash your beekeeping suit. I didn't know that. Oh,
I have heard that if you go out and your bees are aggressive, they leave pheromones and scent on there that it will then make them aggressive. So I have aggressive bees. So yes, I wash my suit often.
Might that be why they're aggressive?
So what is the best way
Is this
to wash
dumb?
a ventilated suit? Like that
You just unzip the hood and throw
take the
everything
hood up
in.
and just kind of
Yeah.
cycle.
I didn't even put the hood in and it's fine, honestly. I mean, hold on. Do you have a top loader with an agitator or do you have a front loader that just kind of tumbles?
No,
top.
no middle agitator.
No middle agitator. You should be fine, I would think.
I hang mine to dry. I don't put it in the dryer.
Yeah, I don't dry any of my clothes. I hang everything to dry.
And the other thing to think about is if you've got like a big tub, fill it with warm water, put the suit in it, get some soap in there, and you can just hand wash it too.
None of us are bending down on our knees washing our clothes at the tub.
I am.
Be careful if your suit's covered in propolis, sticking it in your wash.
Yeah.
That's what I would.
Yeah.
That would all things up.
That's a good point. So maybe cold water, not hot. So that was Frank's input. This was Robin's input. Make sure you have enough food so you can see. Yeah,
Could you just hose it off outside and like hang it?
I mean, you can do anything you want. I don't feel like it gets clean enough for me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it would still be
Hosing
it
it-
smells. It
Hosing
wouldn't
it,
do
you
it.
need soap.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna need
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
So you can see everybody's really emphasizing that you need food, and Robin did emphasize no pollen patties yet. I was curious, I didn't ask her a question about this. She said, open the cover and look for capped honey without pulling frames. If the cells are open or empty, they need to be fed. My feeling is I just put food up top and let them decide what they want. They've got sugar bricks, they've got fondant. I like to give them a little smorgasbord and let them decide what they want. I'm not looking for capped honey. You could treat with OA vapor. And this is what I asked George. I did a treatment and I'm thinking if your bees are starting to lay eggs right now, more than likely in the beginning of February, it's not capped brood yet, right? I'm gonna ask Carol.
It's not what?
It's not capped brood yet.
Could be.
It could be.
We've seen it in January.
So I don't know if those of you who are familiar with OA vapor, if it's capped, it's not gonna reach inside the cell. So that's why they're saying to do it over winter or very early, because it will get in and kill them in your hive, but not if they're capped. You've got to do a couple of treatments and wait until they emerge.
I think
Gina?
I think it was cold enough that it didn't.
I was just reading the first point and she says winter patty's not pollen. What's a winter patty?
Sugar.
So I guess the
cake.
pollen, she said, well, oh, sugar brick or winter
Winter
patty?
patties are,
Not pollen patties.
yeah, are
So
sugar cakes.
Okay. Well, I know a sugar, yeah.
some other people might not, so this is basically a winter patty. It's just sugar. Sugar, water, dried to make candy, and then you can use like healthy bee, honeybee healthy, different stuff to kind of add some nourishment in there. Soy flour.
Flowers.
I am now shaking in my boots because I checked on my bees on Wednesday and the first hive looked like it was dead and I cracked a frame and pulled it up and they were down in the next box. And then I put it back together. Have I already damaged them?
No.
I don't think so, not if it was real quick. What day did you do it?
Wednesday?
Is that the warm day?
No wind and,
Yes, you're fine.
but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're okay.
You might have some slow bees off of that frame. Not kidding. Cold weather, cold on brood causes slow. Those bees will be slow. They will not communicate as well. They won't dance as well. But there are so many other bees that are coming out that will be fine. That's just a blip.
And then Robin said something about a QR code to follow her. I haven't checked this out yet, so I don't know what this is all about, but she's got a QR code.
Yeah, so they have an apiary up at Burnville that they check. They pull looking for taproot every 2 weeks. But I think they're doing it in an environment, but it's like in a greenhouse. They close up for the inspection and they open it back up.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then here's what she's talking about. And that was from the 16th of January. You can see the X's, no brood.
So I'm assuming that only that one's her.
Yeah.
I don't know who both the others belong to, but she's gonna be the one in Pennsylvania.
It's with Auburn University.
What's that?
It goes to Auburn University.
Yeah.
Okay.
The oxalic acid, does that include the strips that you put in there for the 37 to 55? I know you guys do the spray in the hive.
What spray? What's the spray? Big.
He's talking about.
You mean a dribble?
You do the dribble once in December, January. I guess if you haven't done it, you could do it.
Well, I did in the fall the I forget what it's called, the formic acid
Okay.
strips. Do we do that in the winter as well? Just in the fall?
Yeah, I mean, the formic strips, you're gonna have to get into the hives and all. So the other stuff that we're doing is stuff that we're not having to break open the hive. I mean, I don't even do the dribble because I don't want to put cold liquid on them. I did it one time and I really felt bad about it. So I got enough.
Exactly. Yeah, I do the same thing. I warm it up, and then it could be 30 degrees out. Pop the top cover off. Squirt, 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 squirt.
Done.
Done.
But they're wet. I'm a backpacker. You don't go into the woods and get wet. You
Yeah,
don't
but
wear
wet
cotton.
with
It stays
sugar.
dry. So I don't know.
Sugar
So I do
water.
oxalic vapor
Okay.
just
Yeah.
because.
And I got confused. It's not oxalic acid, it's formic acid.
Oh, okay.
Charlie, come tell us what the queen is up to.
Donna was very good at getting people to come out and speak. And at one of the meetings, she just pointed to me and said, "Look out, we're doing this." What I want to talk about is what the Queen's up to. Basically, starting in go back to what we later, back in September, Queen lays her winter fat bees. She lays them all the way up until say November. As the temperature drops, the bees will start to cluster. Usually below 6 degrees. I'm not sure where I got 50. The cluster, they form a cluster and it has a warm core and an outer core of insulating bees. So the bees in the middle are usually referred to as humans. They can actually get up. Bees can actually produce bring your body temperature up to as high as 115 degrees. Which is what they do when they boil the queen. They're not stinging her, they're heating her. The inner core stays at 65 to 85 degrees. Unless it has, unless she's laying brood, in which case they bring it up to 90, 95 to keep the brood warm. The outer bees are at 50 to 55 degrees. They're just a insulating layer of bees tightly held together to form the outer mantle of the cluster. The bees on the outside act as a insulate, they reflect the heat back in, or they let excess heat out. They normally are, these are bees that are just on the edge of, they're in a torpid state. Their body temperature is so low that they're just barely alive. They will switch off between the heater bees and the insulating bees so that the outer bees can get warm. This is one way where you can look into the hive without going in. This is a attachment that will fit on the bottom of the smartphone, which converts your smartphone into an infrared camera. They're relatively inexpensive from what I found out. They did run, they were about $178, which is relatively inexpensive. And it's good to be able to go out and you can quickly look and see what the core is, what the cluster looks like on all your frames, because that picture there in the middle is a picture of the hive on the side.
How many people have these cameras?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How many people have something cheaper? Because for like 2 hives, that would be a big investment.
It is a big investment.
Amazon has I just bought one for $109. And I can send a link if anybody's interested. I don't think it's the regular price, they just happen to have a sale, but I jumped on it when I saw it. It's just a handheld one, which I like, because I refuse to be barehanded when I'm.
It's got a screen on it.
It's got a screen on it, yeah, and it's got a button that you can push, you can do it with gloves on, yeah. It's just a cheaper version.
Take a picture too.
It does take a picture, and you can connect it to your computer, yeah.
Hang on.
109, but not right now, I don't know, you gotta catch it when it's on sale.
This is the FLIR version, manufacturer called FLIR. There are cheaper ones. I've seen them like down to 140. Yeah, you're right, they are expensive.
You can get a regular IR gun that shoots a laser beam on it for $15, $20.
Does that get in?
Yeah, but that doesn't
You
get
can't see it.
Yeah, I tried using one of those.
I've used it in the wintertime and I can see if they're up or down. You have to go all the way around your hive. You have to do it 4 times, but it's $15. I mean, cheap.
I have
But
one.
you can't see it like that.
Right. That'll show you the size of the cluster.
Did have a question over. Tom, did
Somebody have a question?
Did you have a comment or a question?
I was just curious,
Oh.
so for this one, is there a sensor inside
No.
of the box that's communicating with the phone, or is that,
This little piece here actually plugs right into the bottom of your phone.
and then it sends
Now
the
your camera
infrared?
is acts like an infrared camera.
So you just put that against the outside of the
You
hive?
just stand, just like, see the picture of the hive on the left?
Yep,
That's the same picture.
right, okay. Ah,
It
okay,
just
I
tells you.
see. Okay, I thought there was something that maybe you put in the
No.
hive.
That's these.
Okay.
These are these are a more cheaper version. These are
Answering
called
your question.
These are called brood minders. They are temperature sensors. They're thin. You take and break between the boxes and just slide them in. You have an app on your phone. The app will allow you to look at it online, read the temperature. It logs the temperatures. So you can look at trends and you can download it to watch how your bees are doing.
Put the whole thing in the hive, or you leave the one part sticking
You leave this sticking out. And actually,
Put the whole thing.
yeah, the piece that you want is just this here.
you could actually put that in the hive if you want. But this plastic protects it from getting all propolized up, and this allows you to just pop it and pull it out.
We have to change the battery about every year to
Yeah.
18 months.
Yeah, I mean, I have them in all my hives. They are about $40 a piece. Okay, so if you have 2 hives, it's $80, and it's about $80. And it's good. You can look and see that your hives are warm. You can just with your phone.
So this is a nice to have kind of a geek's approach to
Yes, it is.
beekeeping.
Okay. This is pure.
But for the newbies,
This
it's
is
not
pure
a
geek.
must have.
Oh, no, this is not a must have. This is, in the winter, you don't want to open your hive. If you have one of these in, you can tell that your hive is still alive. Okay. You can also use it to tell when your hive starts to lay, when the queen starts to lay. This is what you would get on it. You would get a trace. The green on the top one is actual winter time or outside air time. And the red is the temperature above the brood. The winter bees, when around September 19th, the temperature was fluctuating up and down, and then it kind of stabilized out. And that gray area is the brood zone. So when that stabilizes out, it means that there's brood there. They've warmed it up for the brood. So you can tell when the bees start raising brood. Just like on the overwintered ones, in your overwintered hive, on January 30th, bees started laying brood. What triggers the queen to lay?
Is that this year, Charlie?
The one up top is this year for my hive. The one at bottom is from broodmine.
It goes up to March.
What's the trigger? I don't know.
The queen won't start laying unless there's enough of a population to keep the hive warm. And the thing that triggers it is pollen. If there's no pollen in the hive, she won't lay. So if you didn't pack your hive up for winter with enough pollen, she's going to wait until it starts coming in, which puts you 6 weeks behind. So she could actually start as early as December, late December. Or in this case, it was like January. But
in a previous slide, did they say absolutely don't put pollen in the
I see that.
hive?
I wasn't sure what.
Yeah,
So if the
I'm
queen's
a little
laying-
confused.
So I was just thinking about that. So Robin says don't put pollen in. So my question
yet.
is,
But
Not yet, not right now.
2 weeks.
if you put pollen in, you're just gonna have a hive beetle problem is what I'm thinking.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
But if you want her to start laying now, then what do you do if she's not laying and you don't have pollen in there? I mean, you're not gonna know unless you break it open if you've got pollen.
Yeah. Well, you should. Oh God. No.
I think in 2 weeks, you can start putting pollen.
Yeah. And usually if I put pollen in, I put it on a little piece of mesh. It's raised off the bottom a little bit so that the bees can get under it, which keeps the hive beetles away. Because the hive beetles will go and they'll tunnel underneath it, and the bees can't get to them. And then all of a sudden, all the little maggots show up.
And maybe a partial pollen patty, not.
Yeah. You don't want to put a big patty in there either. So, the thing to take away is in the winter or in the fall, make sure that you have a strong population in your hive. If you have a small hive, merge it with another hive. either two small hives or into another hive. So they do have plenty of bees to keep the hive warm. Also, go ahead.
Since you're the queen guy, let's
Yeah.
say you have two small hives and they both have a queen.
Yeah.
How do you decide which queen to kill? Just put them both in there and let them duke it out? Set up a window and watch? I mean, like, seriously, these are my questions.
I would have to do that.
Yes, he's laughing at me.
Go ahead.
What would anybody do?
You pick.
I would pick.
Yes.
Flip a coin.
So you're gonna leave it up to me? Wouldn't they know better?
No, I mean, if you're always going to decide which one, and that's based on your experience. You know that hive.
Yasmin's like, don't leave it up to her.
Which one stung you the most?
Yeah.
Off with her head.
No queen stick. Well, if the queen sticks, she's dead, right?
No.
She can still live.
No.
The queen can sting as many times as she wants.
Yeah.
I was just curious, the combined question.
So the point is that if you don't supply them with pollen in the fall, you're going to have a late spring brood. It's kind of just any.
Do you want to talk about how to feed? Do you do the bucket outside of the apiary with the pollen, the powdered pollen?
I don't know.
That's something that's kind of related. So I put when you took the picture with the FLIR,
Yeah.
You didn't have insulation on there.
Well,
And then
actually, I did.
oh, you did. Okay.
Put the other picture back up. If you look at the hive there, that's not a FLIR picture.
Right.
See the foam there?
Yeah.
That foam I moved out of the way to get a clearer picture.
Gotcha.
I put it back on when I'm done.
Okay.
And I just insulate, I do 3 sides of insulation, and one side I just do with tar paper and face the sun.
Okay.
Just so that they can get a little warm from the sun and still maintain some heat with the insulation.
And then with the insulation is on a warm day, like last week we had some warm days.
Mhm.
Is it going to be too warm?
No.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff.
The 39.2 there, is that
I-
the temperature in the box?
That's just, that, I don't know whether that could be Celsius. No, that's
You're outside. That's Celsius. That 39.2 is the temperature right there.
On the outside?
Yeah, it's the outside. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So you can't tell you what the temperature is in the inside, but it can say that this section is hotter than this section.
So this can't, so the FLIR can't really tell you anything about the exact temperature in the top box, and when they start laying in there, the FLIR doesn't really help you with that, it just tells you.
It'll tell you where the cluster is, but it won't
But
tell
not-
you, yeah,
It FLIR's a brand, not a.
Yeah,
Clear's a brand,
FLIR is green.
the best brand.
Question about that strip thing. Do you leave that in like
Yeah.
all year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use it all year.
I wasn't sure if it was something you like slide in to use or if you just put it there and then it lives there.
Slide it in and you leave them in. And the batteries will last at least a year.
Okay, cool.
So once a year you change out the battery. It's just a little point battery.
I do the 3 sides. Like your hives are supposed to be facing southwest. So when the sun comes up, you should get all day sun. Now, I leave 3 sides covered. The front, I don't cover that at all because you want maximum absorption heat in the winter so that things stay warm. But I don't cover the front. I'm leaving 3 sides. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah,
That's just what I do.
the reason I use the tar paper,
You can do that.
the tar paper warms up.
Yeah.
It warms up better than the wood would, so.
Remember the R value of 1/2-inch pine, and it was really good.
Oh, it looks like good beekeeping weather there.
That was the backyard.
Especially for those of you who haven't bought any equipment yet, this could be useful to you guys. So this we've talked about is a nuke box. It's smaller, just five frames. Mark was kind enough to share his white one with me. So when you go to buy frames for your new hives, there are options, and this is deep. There's 3 standard sizes. There's custom. The 3 standard sizes are deep. That's the brood. That's where the queen lays. Guess what? She's gonna lay wherever she wants on any frame that she wants. But in theory, the brood boxes are deep, and that's what this frame looks like. And I brought all different stages of what the frames look like. So this is a deep frame and it's black foundation, okay? So you wax it. Someone's gonna talk about waxing your frames to give the bees, you know, a little kickstart there. So this has been waxed and not a bee has touched it. This, they started to draw it out a little bit, right? So you can just see that they started to draw out some comb, some wax where they're gonna ultimately lay. This is a black foundation. That's what I prefer to use in my hives. But when you're in it for a little bit, it's only been 4 years for me, you're gonna have mishaps, and then you're gonna have friends that help you, and then you're gonna end up with other kinds of stuff. And so anyway, we have a black one. This is a medium. This is where the super, so this is a deep box, medium box, also known as super. It's super because that's where the honey's gonna go, theoretically, and usually it is. So you can see there's some capping in here, some drawn out wax. This is a nice frame, not fully drawn out, but you're always in different stages of what's happening in the hive. This is a white frame. This is an option. Mark, is there a benefit to the white? I don't know because I don't run this way, but it's just preference. Tom.
I use a lot of those for honey supers, the white ones.
White.
One thing I might want to add when we use the black is the black ones are great. I love them because you can see the eggs, light eggs, when the queen starts to lay. Any of you that have been beekeepers for a couple of years, you have excess wax, you saved your wax, you can put wax right back on frames. They never put enough wax on their frame. I'll tell you this, be generous with your wax. When you put it on, it makes it much more attractive for them to start to form the frame.
It's a jump start. That's exactly right. Tom's been in this for a long time.
If you skimp on wax, they're gonna leave spots like that, and it's wasted space.
Yeah.
And they'll look at it like, we don't want to work on that. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you're generous with the wax.
Question about waxing that is it too early to wax now? Or do you want to wait until spring when they're starting to build out?
Do you have new frames that you use?
I have some that need to be re-waxed.
Yeah, you can
do it now.
I would go over your frames that last year that maybe didn't get waxed out quite well enough. And also if you have new stuff, it's quite fine when you start.
So to ask 2 beekeepers, right? So I give it a slightly different answer. I would do exactly what Tom says. I wax them up, but just before I put them on the hive, I give it one more coat of fresh wax, because if it, I wax it up, I'm going to be using them, and then it turns out you don't use them for 4 or 5 months. That bee wax smell isn't as rich, so you give that last little stroke. It doesn't have to be much, so you can do a lot of your wax now. Just put that last stroke on there, and then drop them in, and you'll watch them just go. Ooh.
How's that go? The smell anywhere. So that is true. I like the black because it's easier to see the egg. And also when you take your frame out into the sunshine and you look, you will cry the first time you see an egg, because it's just so beautiful. But also there's a shine sometimes, and you're like, is that the egg or is that the shiny whatever? So it's confusing. Be generous on yourself.
Yeah.
Royal jelly, it can be a lot of different things, but you'll know an egg when you know an egg. It's a dot the first day she lays it, and someone will correct me, but then the second day it stands up and it looks like a little dash, and then it gets taller by day 4, and then it'll go into the C formation, but that's what you're looking at. So that's where the dark is helpful. Yes.
I would caution people against wood frames.
Okay.
Because if you've ever had a wood frame come apart and you're extracting, it is a Nice.
It is a mess, but I'm gonna give a reason why you should have one too, because Monica Mayhem, that's what they call me. So I preferred the black.
I hate plastic.
Medium. I know. And where's Carissa? She hates plastic. Howard loves wood. So that's where you're gonna get a mix. Yes, sir.
Wood connotates to wax foundation, which many old beekeepers say is most attractive to using by the bees.
I think it's beautiful too. It's beautiful.
It's more tedious, but it's quicker for them to
Right.
use it.
I have some really tree hugging friends too that will only use the wood frame and then they put jute around and let the bees do all of that work, drawing out the comb. That's a little intense on the bees, in my opinion, but that's why we all have our own style. So these frames, as Mark will attest, are very useful and I'm glad that I had them. And it was because last year, my mayhem, my queen went out, got mated, she came back to the hive and missed the mark. She went underneath it and started building and laying and brood the whole thing. I had bees outside around the hive. Mark came over, thank you again, and we found the queen, we found all of this beautiful wax, and we had to attach it to just the wooden frame. Okay, so we had a wooden frame. I don't know if this has ever happened to anybody else. It was rare air. It was crazy.
Just you, Monica.
Just, I know, but it will happen. It will happen. So we cut this wax out from underneath the hive and we attached it to just this wooden frame and we rubber banded, however, and got it back into the hive where they should be, and it was successful. Yay, team.
If you collect a swarm, you need wooden frames to do exactly the same thing.
Okay, when I caught my own swarm in my driveway, thank you, Laura, and it just left the hive and went to the tree right there. And I just put waxed frames and frames that had honey and brood in one of these boxes in a new box, and then they all just flooded right in. A little lemongrass, I think we added, whatever. So then you're okay.
Let me correct myself. If you're collecting a swarm that has established, which could be a cutout.
Oh, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
then you have to have those wooden frames, or it's really tough.
Right. Green frame. Oh, pray tell the green frame. So
It's leaking.
it is leaking. I know. I took it out of the freezer. So a green frame, I didn't know. I thought they only came in a super size, but they also come deep, someone told me. And a green frame, the foundation, oh, this is one thing. The next year I scraped off all the wax to get them back to new. Rookie mistake, people. Anyone like boo, hiss me? That was really bad. And I didn't know that you left the wax on for the next year and the next year and the next year. I had carved it down. What a waste. That's just taboo and bad news for any new people. Yes, Tom.
Let's point something out. This frame. If you're going through your frames, okay, you're gonna see areas where the wax is going over where the frame is.
Yes.
Those are opportunities. Opportunities for you in a nice bucket, your hive tool, nice and sharp, clean up all your frames. That way, you're gonna have extra wax for your brood frames. Okay, so at the end of the season, that's a good cleanup thing to do, and you're gonna save yourself money. So it keeps things clean.
Yes, but not take it all the way down to the foundation, right? But the green one also is printed, just like you can see this white one, the cells, there's thousands of little printed, indented, and that's what they'll draw off of, okay? So this is a standard cell size for the queen when she's laying and fertilizing the female egg, okay? The green one, this is a larger cell, and the foundation that is printed on the green one is larger because drones are bigger, and when they draw out this comb, you can see that it's bigger, right? Now, I was taught that the green frame, put it on the second and the brood on the bottom, when that's filled with drone, and that's where varroa mites and hive beetles will get in there because it's a bigger cell and they will eat off of that larvae. You can take this out, throw it away, not throw it away, but just discard it or freeze it because you want to kill any disease and so that is what the green frame is about, a little bit larger again, and you can pass that around. I think it smells like hay.
No,
I would pass it.
Don't pass it around. Okay, don't pass it around. Don't pass it around. Okay, don't do that. Come up and smell if you want.
This place.
Am I missing a frame style? Anybody that knows?
There's another size called a shallow.
Shallow, yeah, I don't do that, so I didn't have one. And it's maybe to here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Howard, do you use the shallows?
They make for a good honey soup.
Yeah, because it gets heavy. They're like 10 pounds once they're loaded and capped and full of
You
honey.
can get like tomatoes.
Okay.
If you have shallows that you want to use. I have some. And
Is that feeder, the wooden box that we use for our feeders, is that a shallow
you
box?
can use that.
Yeah.
You can use those feeder boxes.
Right, so Ike is where most of us buy our equipment. Nice Amish guy out in Nickel Mines, I think it is, and they have everything and they're upgrading and we'll get into that later. Do you want me to talk about inner covers or something else?
I'm gonna set up a whole hive.
Okay, so the whole hive, I put some insulation, that's what that looks like inside of there. It all fits together like a puzzle, it's overwhelming, I know. I still feel like a new beekeeper. I guess that's it, all I got.
Well, Donna's setting up, I'll show you, 2 bottom boards, just as by way of example. So you got this one wonderful bottom board here. Ike sells these, by the way. Okay, what the heck is up with this thing? Beetle, mites, critters, all can fall down through the screen into the diatomaceous earth or oil, not motor oil. Vegetable oil or mineral oil is actually better. You use vegetable oil, it will turn rancid and start to smell. But mineral oil seems to be the best choice. And it kills the mites and the hive beetles immediately. If you put it in diatomaceous, it could take, it might not kill it quick enough. Maybe eventually it dies, but then it's still out wandering around. So that's one. That's
a lot of moisture as well.
Say it again.
He sucks up a lot of moisture as well.
Yeah, Sheena.
Diatomaceous earth is not effective if it's not dry.
Correct.
And with mature insects, it's not necessarily effective. So like the hive beetles, it doesn't quickly or even at all kill them. They got that waxy layer that protects them. So it's good for killing their larvae.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mentioned you should always use mineral oil. Sheena.
How do you get rid of your mineral oil?
I normally take it over to Carissa's house and I pour it.
Okay, what's the address?
Okay. No, you dispose of your mineral oil just like you would motor oil. You take it to, you pour it into the container and you take it to a disposal place. I know mine's up on Route 3. I drop it off where they do an oil change and they have a disposal place. Don't dump it in your yard. Yes.
I'm building my own screen frame bottom boards. What size screening or
this
hardware
is
1/8.
Number 8.
I haven't been able to find that anywhere. I find 1/4 inch.
Maxwell's Hardware is down in town, just off the Johnson Street.
July as well. There's another question over.
Instead of using mineral oil, I use detergent.
Yes.
Soapy water. You don't have to worry about where you get rid of it.
True.
Landon Price taught us that.
Yeah.
It does the thing.
Good point. The other thing that you might want to consider is, depending on how it's built, you might want to just run a piece of duct tape across the back. It kind of hangs over here. So if you get rain coming in this, it doesn't fill it up with rainwater on top of your oil or, fill up diluting your soap. And one more is here's a screen bottom board. This is perfect, right? Works great. It fits on the hive just like that. All the stuff falls down into what?
Nothing.
Oh yeah, you put the slide in. What's this? This is a solid piece of wood.
Did you make
How do I put the slide in? No, I didn't make it. So this one, this is where Ernie's not here, I don't think, but this is where you do some modifications. You make a slit down here so that you can slide, and then you put a little channel along each side so that you can put the plastic slide in to cover up the wide open. Lots of different saying, oh wow, yeah, but you've got the
Think go in the front.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the problem with this one?
I picked it up at the, what do we do?
Yeah.
Auction.
So if you look at this one, again, solid across the back, here's the front, and the slide goes in from the front. Where do you not want to work your beams?
In the front, never.
Yeah, this is, it'll work, but it's not ideal.
So I'm gonna build a hive from the bottom up. And I'm gonna go through what's necessary and what's not necessary. This is called a hive stand. This is not necessary. Somebody gave me a bunch of, I believe it might have been Tony. Was it you?
Run, Tony, run.
Somebody gave me.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, you gave me like 5 of these. So I was like, well, I have them, I'll use them. What did you say? You wanted to get rid of them.
I don't use them.
You don't use them. So before I build this up, what you're gonna see here is a screen bottom board and a solid bottom board. And what Mark was talking about was having that channel to slide that white thing in. The reason we use that is if you do a mite treatment, all the mites will fall to the bottom and drop on here. I don't even really bother. To me, it's, I mean, what are you gonna do? Count them? I'm gonna count them when I do a mite treatment or a mite wash. So I don't even really bother with it. I basically just run this in the summertime, so there's air, there's ventilation. And then when the fall comes, I switch them over and I do a solid bottom board. Too much work?
Yes.
Probably. Probably, but that's just what I do. I don't have 100 hives. I have anywhere from 2 to 4. So I tend to baby them a little bit. So basically, if you have a hive stand, basically all that does is it gives the bees a landing board and the hive beetles. So all of the pests can run into your hive effectively. So that's the bottom. Standard equipment, a brood box. I'm gonna, before you can hold your comments. Hold your comments. What I'm putting up here is 10 frame hives. My person that got me into this was up in Kutztown. And he's like, you need a deep box for your brood and you need supers. So I want to
say you do not need a deep box
I know,
for brood.
No, you
You
don't.
may use all mediums
Well, I'm
and it
getting
works
to
just
that.
fine.
I'm getting
And
to that.
You do not have to have a deep brood box.
You don't, and I'm getting to that. Because had I done this again, I would not have done that. Once you put on your super, you don't need this, but a lot of people run them. It's a queen excluder. It will stop your queen from coming through, but it won't stop the bees. So you would put a queen excluder on, your super, depending, who's got a question? What's up?
Alright, so I've just heard, I don't know if it's true or not, because I've never run a queen excluder, but I've heard that they can damage the bees.
I mean, I would imagine anything's possible, but I've never seen it happen.
Rare, very rare.
Yeah.
Metal excluders are preferable over the.
Okay, Carissa. But if you didn't buy them, now I'll tell you what, the metal queen, I went and bought them because Carissa gave me a hard time. Carissa's not here, but Carissa works in environmental stuff, we'll just say, and she's very much against plastic. I had already bought these, so for me, these worked because I had them. I went ahead and ordered some of the metal ones. On the metal ones, where the metal folds over, is a great little home for hive beetles. I feel like they're all getting trapped in there and staying in there, and it's driving me nuts. And I'm thinking, Plastic is only bad when we throw it in landfills. As long as I take care of it and don't throw it away.
Probably easier to clean, right? Because you can just crack it.
Yeah, I haven't really had to clean. I scrape it
No, I
down a
tried-
little bit.
Don,
Cleaning
what's
the plastic ones, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Mine go all metal because you can put a heat gun.
I mean, I
in.
just-
That's right, that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say, heat gun to the metal.
Don, what's the reason why you think the metal are better?
Smoother transit for the bees getting through. And I think they propylize the plastic.
Do you?
Oh, they're a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can take the heat gun to the metal.
Don't use the heat gun on the plastic.
We haven't gone into solar melters either. You just stick that metal,
Right, and
cleaner screen and it just cleans it right off in the summer.
So what's gonna really determine whether you buy plastic or metal? Your pocketbook, honestly. These are a lot cheaper. I find that they do the perfect, either one can work. It all depends on what you're gonna wanna buy. This will get the job done. Is it gonna have some downfall? Absolutely. Don't buy a lot, just throw them in a landfill. I mean, if you're gonna buy them, I just use them over and over, and now I have started buying the better ones. Anyway, moving on, that's gonna go there, that's gonna go there. This piece here, necessary or unnecessary, depending on what lid you go with. So if you go with a standard telescoping lid, which is this, it's going to hang over. If I didn't have that inner cover and I put this on top, and the bees attach this top to this, there's no way I can get under here to pry these apart. So this piece is necessary so that the bees can only seal this to this now. When I put this over top, they're not sealing this because they're already sealed in those two layers. They're gonna leave this alone. You can lift that off. You can get your hive tool in here, create a separation and lift it. If you bring, and Mark did, can I borrow it? We don't really have to go all the way through this. Migratory covers are for exactly that word. For people that take their hives to on trucks and they take them to like an apple orchard or an orange orchard and they're traveling with them. When you put a migratory cover on, this is for a nuke clearly, not for this, but it doesn't hang over the edge. Because it's not hanging over the edge, you could theoretically eliminate this and still get into the side to open it up. I have these on my nukes. The only thing I don't like about these is that with rain, if it catches that lip, it can run into your hive. So I think the telescoping are more beneficial if you're a backyard beekeeper and you're only doing a couple. But if you're taking your hives and you're moving, you're gonna need these in order to get the hives together, to strap them together so that they're flush. You can't put your hives together with this. Now, what Carol was saying, because my guy told me, well, this is standard, this is what I bought, a deep hive. Mark had mentioned something about demarraying. And when you're switching your frames in swarm season, basically what that means is you're going to take the hives, or the frames with eggs and brood, and you're gonna rotate them to the top and you're gonna let the bees come out of that. And then you're gonna kind of rotate down the empty ones. And you're basically always keeping room for your queen to lay so that hopefully she's happy and it doesn't get too overcrowded. That's just a really quick thing.
So they won't swarm.
So they don't swarm.
Yeah.
All right.
So that setup is deep, super deep, demarine.
Yes.
Okay,
It's
just so they know.
Not
I don't.
necessarily.
I just go deep with a queen excluder in the middle.
You go, you need a medium.
Well, it's not getting
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
this is a lot of weight.
100 pounds.
It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. I'm a pretty strong woman. I lift. I can. This is damn heavy, especially when they start putting it. The other thing is that we can be strong, but when you are lifting from the front of your body this way, it is not the same as this, and you're not working your hive like this. So what I have learned is I want to take all these, throw them out, and build like a horizontal hive. And if I had to do it again and buy equipment for you new people, I would go medium.
Yeah.
So then I would go medium for brood, and then medium for supers. And anything that you want to do is interchangeable and exchangeable.
frame management is so much
Brains
easier.
management is so much easier. Take it from the people that made the mistake.
4 years ago, I cut all my deeps down.
So here's what I want to say
Thank
about
God.
that. If you decide you want to try deep, or you decide that you've got some deep frames, you could get a shim. I made this myself. You can attach a super on top of it. Where's Monica? Can I borrow a deep? Sure. The nice thing about putting this on the bottom is I don't have to worry about building in that frame lip, which is more construction than I can handle. I can use the super on the top. I can put that on there, and you can see now that I've got my deep frame in there. And it made it work. So all that is a cheap way to kind of convert it if you needed to.
Yeah. If you cut down your deeps, you wind up with nice shims.
You do, but I'm trying to figure out a way to make a horizontal hive out of it. I don't know. I really want a horizontal. I don't know, because I just want a challenge. So anyway, so putting this all together, you've got your bottom, you've got your deep, or one we're just going to call this brood. I'm not even going to call it deep. You've got your brood box, you've got your queen excluder, you've got your super, you've got your inner cover. On your inner cover, I also learned this the hard way. There's a little entrance for your bees to come in and out of. That goes away from you. I don't know how long I worked it before Tony came over and he goes, yeah, you see that little entrance thing, Donna? That's supposed to go the other way. Tony was my mentor.
And if this were a 8 frame box, then this garden cover, which is the third type. So you have your telescoping, you have your migratory cover, and then this is your garden cover. The nice thing about the garden cover is you can put your foam here and still have room to put food all along here above an inner cover or directly over the hive.
Did you show them a deep inner cover?
Nice. So this is just a shim inner cover.
Well, when we made sugar bricks, I filled this, I had a hole drilled out here and made a pathway, and this was total sugar brick. And that way it's an insulation. The bees can come and feed. In my very first year I did it, they only ate like that much. It wasn't much. But you have to give them, I do upper ventilation. Some people do, some people don't. So, but this is another option. You can also put your insulation in here, flip it either way on. There's so many options, so don't get overwhelmed. Whoever you're gonna follow as your mentor, just do, if they're successful, do what they do, and because you'll get confused with a lot of options.
So one of the things I picked up, we do at our some of our summer meetings, we do an auction, and sometimes you pick up pieces of equipment that you're unfamiliar with. One of the things I picked up was one of these. It's basically, I think this is just a.
It was a feeder.
I
can see from the inside of it.
It was a shallow. I think it's a shallow, and somebody attached. Actually, I think I did this one. I attached screen to it. So I turned this shallow into a feeder. The one thing I like about this is I can put food over top, or I can put the food on top of my frames to create something. And in the summertime, I can actually open up my hive and look in it without getting attacked right away. It's a great way to have an observation in top.
And that's what we use in the winter, because you put the frame
exactly
down,
right.
you put the fronds, and you just do it on it from the bottom.
Yeah, that's exactly
And
right.
all you do is you open the cover and you can see immediately what you need.
Yeah, so this is a great way to check your bees in the winter time. Like he's saying, you can pick it up, you can just take a look, you can put in what you need. For the new people that are getting started, there's 2 ways you're gonna get started. You're gonna get a ready-made nuke or hive, or you're gonna get a package. If you get a package, one of the things that you have to do is you have to feed sugar water, and the sugar water is gonna help them build wax. If you get, actually in the spring, you're gonna feed everything with sugar water, but not necessarily needed if there's flowers blooming and stuff. But with new bees, I think you absolutely have to feed no matter what.
With a package.
With a package.
Yeah. Well,
So
it ask ask two beekeepers, 5 answers. So the other answer to that is there a flow on? Is there lots of flowers out? You get a package, you dump them in. Are the frames drawn out already? If the frames are drawn out, then they can immediately start packing nectar and pollen into those frames. If they're not drawn out, they have to draw them out first. So there's an enormous amount of effort that they have to go to. So it, but generally speaking, yes, you install a package, you've got to feed 1-to-1.
So to simplify this for the new people, you need a bottom board. You need something for the queen to lay in. You need a super, and you need some appropriate lid. That's basically it. Everything else was just extra stuff we're talking about, which you'll figure out as you go. It's not necessarily necessary.
Question.
Sure.
As heavy as it all gets, there's, I've read and heard that a way of monitoring is knowing the weight of your hive. How do you weigh it?
That's a good question. That was the question I had. And I believe there are scales, but most of us are not going to buy scales and put on every hive. But most of the beekeepers, they do this. Okay.
So there isn't a little doodad like the infrared.
There are. Get a scale.
Of fishing.
Fishing scale.
Yeah,
You still have to lift it up.
Well,
correct.
Yeah, but you don't have to lift it up. You have to lift it up about that far, about a 1/2 inch.
Yeah, but that's like 60 some odd pounds.
Or it could be 140
We get one of
pounds.
those brood minders.
Yeah.
That's what it's gonna be when you look that deep.
Yeah.
This is the scale that you put on the back or the front of a hive, and it'll tell you in real time
Oh,
what
alright.
the weight is.
Did we
Yeah, you
endorse
can't
price
do that.
those? One time we had to scale.
Yeah, we did the scales. I don't think we did the brood monitors.
So,
I mean, the only reason you have to know how much it weighs is for the feed question. And my thing is
Eat them anyway.
feed them anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
you just addressed all the new people that this does not go on the ground.
Oh, that's a good point.
Okay, you
This
have
does
to
not
get this
go on
up
the ground.
18 inches,
Yeah.
yeah, so there's.
So there's a
cinder
lot of
blocks.
different ways to start out. A lot of people, like, I don't, Peggy's not here, is she? One of the ladies that I helped, she just went and got cinders and she just traded this whole thing. And I'm like, Peggy, why did you do that? You could have just put a cinder, put some beams through it, and then a couple more cinders. But she built this entire thing with 4 billion cinders. And now she needs to add on, she needs to buy more cinders. You can go and get like a 4x4 beams and just stick them through the cinders. You can put them on top of the cinders, but you do have to get it off. Just keep in mind that the higher you start, the higher it's gonna go. So
But
the
the
minimal
reason-
effort, the minimal height off the ground is probably the best.
Yeah, 12 to 18 inches, and the reason we do that is because when animals come up to peek into a hive, this is their vulnerable spot, and those guard bees will come and attack them there. So that's why we wanna lift it up off the ground so that they just can't get in that easy.
Yeah, it's not to keep mice out because they will still get in.
Yes, they will.
I think I covered it all. Does anybody have any questions?
Brings to mind the
What I missed?
mouse guards. You're gonna mention those?
I think we keep it simple for just but yeah, I mean, there's all kinds. I didn't do an entrance.
Okay.
Yeah, we did last meeting, we talked about mouse guards, but that's an example of just a piece of extruded aluminum thin, hole drilled through it, screwed, and a
1/4 inch screen. The one thing you're gonna learn is that there's a lot of ways to work around making stuff.
So that's just a mouse guard on a hive.
I know there is 8 frames versus 10.
Yeah, so these are 10 frame hives. You can do an 8 frame hive. I don't have any here, but
Yeah.
she's 8 frame.
So Carol does 8 frame mediums.
Yeah, and where's that lid that you had? Because that was 8 frame, right? Hard to tell with that
That's an 8 frame.
top on it, but obviously if this is 10, then 8's here, and that's the whole purpose is just to get lighter. My thing is if you're gonna run mediums, don't do 8 frame. Why? I mean,
If I had to do it over again, it'd be 8 frames.
was it, okay, so here's the deal, if you go to lift it, I just take frames out to harvest. If you're one of the people that take the whole box and harvest, you can take a couple frames out. You can find the heaviest ones and take them out. So if you take out 2 and put them in a container, you now have an 8 frame box, the weight of an 8 frame. So for me, I'd rather have extra. And a lot of times, like I don't run 10, I run 9. I think even, was it Robin that was running 8?
9.
She running 9? I was running 9 for my supers. She was running 9 for her brood. And she said the reason was just to really just have room to get her fingers in there. And yeah, they'll build up a little bit more cone, but that's okay.
If you use the top feeder, do you use that top board as well?
I don't have to. I don't need the inner cover if I do this because that is,
Put the top cover on and you're good to go.
because the screen is stopping them from getting to. So the screen's either stopping them there or the screen's stopping them.
So you wouldn't need the top.
I don't need it, it's just extras. Yeah.
Just be very, very careful if you're using. I'm sure no one here has
Yeah.
done this.
I know just.
You're
what
using,
saying.
you've got one of these on there and you forget
They will build.
a week or
Yeah.
more. This could be completely covered with comb up here.
Yeah, but it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. It was all. It's back to-
So nice.
You don't need to flip it, they'll eat you that.
No, they will. Metal?
No, they'll
Oh,
eat
no.
the
Eat
fondant.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
They will eat through
You
it,
should
yeah.
have it flipped over and put the food in.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're gonna have that problem in the spring.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
early as you go in, it's still gonna be there.
Yeah.
Do it like that, put the fun on
That's right.
That is fine though. I'm just showing people they have options for different things.
No, you won't do it that way.
That's not me that, but none of the other ones
I
are
don't
good.
remember why I had mine.
That's the right
I had mine upside down because they built in it. Do you remember why I had it upside down? I don't know. Sometimes I just like to see what happens.
Yeah. No, we're starting to sell out because they didn't bring the tickets.
No, normally well, it depends. If you're gonna run mediums, you absolutely need 2 brood boxes. You don't wanna run 1 medium brood
I
box.
do 3 sometimes too, just.
Yeah, you're gonna go 2 or 3.
I normally have two.
Yeah. So George runs single deeps, some people run double deeps, but if you're running mediums, you need at a minimum 2, if not 3. Yeah. Anybody, any experienced people wanna add anything or tell me something else I did wrong?
Don't ask that question.
I know, right?
Brenda, were you doing a presentation as well?
Somebody doing this wax thing up here? Who brought the wax?
Charlie.
I could brought that as for the.
You want me to do it real fast?
For the auction?
That was
Or for the raffle?
That was for the raffle.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You can show
Well,
them.
but still, let me have that. This is and Charlie, because you're road, right? Yeah. So this is a paint roller. Buy a paint roller. This is a frying pan. When your significant other isn't looking, grab a frying pan or grab it, you grabbed it from going to the garbage, right?
But you was throwing it out.
It's being thrown out. So, grab a pan. This is kind of nice because it's shallow but fairly wide. You pour your wax in there. You don't want to get it. You want to get it just as hot enough for it to melt. You don't want it to get like boiling. Because guess what wax is when it's really hot? Yeah, it's flammable. Have it over a heat source and whoosh. Anyway, you just take the wax, you roll it on there. In the wax, you grab a frame and you just roll it across the frame. If you think you're not getting enough in, dip it again, roll it again.
What do you do?
I do it just before I put them in the hive, but as Tom pointed out, you could do them now.
New frames.
New frames, yeah, absolutely. Even if you get triple wax frames, your wax is better than the wax that they're
So thin.
Be generous.
be generous.
As a new beekeeper, if you don't have the existing wax,
You can buy it at Mike's also. They can sell bricks.
Like.
Or
But buy it from a bee source, not from like Amazon or something, correct?
Don't buy it from these, don't buy it from, get it from Ike.
Yeah, get it from a bee supplier.
Local beekeeper. Yeah.
yeah.
Forest Hill woodworking, Forest Hill beekeeping.
How you do?
You can buy what they need to buy their stuff like Man Lake, Mike's.
Better be.
Do they know that?
Yeah, Man Lake, yeah. But no matter how they wax it, it's not enough. You're right, Tom. Just keep putting it on.
You need to get equipment. I think you wanna hit 3 different places. You can check the prices. You check out Ike's, Man Lake, and Better Bee.
Yeah.
There's Dayton too.
And they're closed on
Dayton.
Tuesdays and Sundays.
Dayton has the best smokers.
That's what?
Smokers.
Smokers.
So
But the closest is Ike's.
Yeah, so if you wanna go look, you go to Ike's.
That's like an hour away.
Nickel mines.
Thank you. 52 minutes.
Yeah.
They're Amish, so they're closed on Sundays.
and Tuesdays, and plan on if you get there at noon, you're gonna wait a half an hour because they're.
She's having lunch.
Oh, the other thing is,
Yeah.
they close at noon on Saturday.
So in the spring, when it gets warmer, right, you've got a couple different options for feeders. Some people like the feeder you buy and goes in front of your hive. It's gonna attract a lot of hornets, things like that. So I would suggest not doing that. This is just a mason jar, fill it up, 1 pound, a half a pound of water to a half a pound of sugar, melt it, put it in the jar, put about 7 holes in it with a push pin. If it'll fit in a too much stuff.
Here.
This is a medium, so you could put it over the first hive and just take 2 pieces of wood or hive
Entrance
reducers, and you're gonna put it just like this. The bees will get it. It gives them access to all the holes. So it's easy, it's cheap. You probably already have the equipment here. In the spring, somebody talked about warming up your feed, because if it gets too cold, the bees aren't gonna wanna eat it, consume it. So in the spring, if it's getting really cold at night, you might wanna just keep this on during the day, bring it in the house, warms up, put it back on. Okay, this is really easy.
And you put an empty box around it.
Yeah, an empty box, yeah. For the new people that haven't picked up hives, so I have all my wax foundation that's been drawn out on a medium and a deep. And if you start picking this stuff up without any honey in it, it's super duper heavy.
That's a
Feeder. So if you want another way to feed, this holds about 1 gallon of sugar water. It'll go in a deep. So if you wanted to, if you only have 1 box, not 2 boxes, pull out a frame, put this in there like that. Yeah.
I think it's a 2 frame. This is, you're gonna have to take out 2 of these.
Yeah.
Girl.
No.
Stop,
No, yeah.
to fit this, to fit that.
Yeah. But they're really handy. And then if you really want to go gonzo crazy when it's in the summertime, this holds like 2 gallons of sugar water. So you can put that on the top of the hive. Bees will come up through this entrance in the middle. You gotta have this lid on it, otherwise you're gonna open it up and have bees in your face. And just make sure that you put it on so that the slats that are going here line up with this. Because if you put it on like this, it won't snap down all the way. Bees will be in. So that's that for feed. Bee boxes. But yes.
Just to caution the new beekeepers, they consume so much sugar water. You be prepared.
Yeah,
You need a big feeder with lots on the gallon side.
Yeah, if you're putting in a package of 3 pounds of bees into a hive with no drawn frame, they will suck this up like crazy.
It's amazing.
It really is.
So the cheapest place to buy is Costco, 50-pound bags of sugar. It's 1 to 1. And in the fall, I feed in the fall, and I went through 3 50-pound bags. And I have 3 hives only, so they're gonna take it.
So if you've never picked up a hive before, just for weight, without any bees or honey stored in here, you can see how heavy they are, basically empty. And last year when we went to the Penn State beekeeping up in Happy Valley. Oh, okay. There was a beekeeper, a woman beekeeper, very well known, wrote some books, and she's like, Carol already said this. Don't get deeps and mediums. Get mediums if you're a new beekeeper. If you're getting older, you're back and lifting everything up. I wish I had mediums only. So if you have a hive and you have to split it because you have too much, you get a deep, then you get a medium, then you get another deep, you gotta buy another medium. It's crazy the money you can spend. So if you have one medium, it could do everything that you're doing without worrying about, oh, I need to put it deep in, I need to buy it, I need to get a thinner. Thank you, Carl. Wish you would have said that when I went to.
I know, right?
Right?
People will say, how do you
5
run your
years ago.
hives? They'll say, how do you run your hives? And you're like, what are you talking about? And that's how, like, 8 frame, 10 frame, 5 frame. Some people do nukes. I mean, there are people that just do the 5 frame. And I personally, it's all about visual for me. So I like deep, super deep. And it's just so pretty with their nice frame. But I'll tell you what, I keep an extra box on the side so I can take the frames out because I am old and it gets heavy. So
I have 5 boxes just for splits or catching a storm and then putting it in the woods.
you just need a lot of equipment. Get a little bit of everything. I don't know.
Just do mediums.
This is another feeder style that I sell, yeah. So just another option, and it's a pretty safe one because when it's on top, the bees are under here and you don't get whacked. So thanks, Donna.
One thing, I have that, and they for me, they get through that mesh. They go
No, you
through the
have
side.
to, you have to,
I think it got bent or something, and like a lot of dead ones. So what I use that without the mesh, and I just put wood excelsior in both sides. Like, so just that, it's that stuff that things are packaged in, the real fine, like shredded wood. It's like, and the bees just use that as like lattice and crawl down, and they can crawl right out so they don't drown.
Okay, good point. We
And the wood is it's exceptionally good fire starter.
There you go.
Smoker. So after it's done, you
gotta caulk around all those edges.
I caulked mine.
Yeah, they won't get through.
This one is a new style. It has like little teeth that hold that metal down. So they're getting better every time you go. It's something. But you know what is interesting too? Someone had that fluted bottom to put the oil in for the droppings. That does not fit on existing equipment. So you have to buy new equipment. I'm like, out. You know what I'm saying? The
Or you
bottoms.
get it, or you modify, you get good at modifying things.
You do.
I have a feeder to show.
You have a feeder?
Go ahead.
This is a homemade feeder for a nuke. I poured molten beeswax in it, thinking it was gonna seal it. But now I go out and I see yellow jackets all around the outside. So there's like a little tiny leaks or something. And I'm noticing the wax is not sticking. And as kind of been alluded to, bees are normally smart, but when it comes to, like, you put a container of honey out or sugar water out, they're gonna drown. You're really stupid about that. I keep doing it over and over again. Thinking there's hardly any honey in there, but they find a way to drown in it. So that's why you have to be so careful about sealing things up. So I'd like to figure out a way to have like a decent size food container, plastic food container I can put in here and keep the bees from drowning. Because it's nice to be able to take the lid off and the bees can't get at you. And so you can see whether they need more sugar water.
Right.
So
Some people put their honey in plastic bags and just poke holes and set it on the top, and you can feed that way.
and then I end up with plastic bags on the ground.
I definitely know there's always something.
And the other thing you can use is, I think Warren Graham has used this in the past, is the little yogurt containers. Because you don't want to put, as has been said, you don't want to put a lot of liquid when it's cold, not hot. But if you put a little yogurt container, that's not much liquid, but they can certainly take it. So you have a yogurt container, couple of holes popped in it. Yeah, or those are a little bigger. I use those in the spring, but or just don't fill them all the way up. You know, give them a cup or so.
So if you're like me and you wanna go easy as possible, I actually put a slit in the top. I didn't take that out. I just slit it, let it pop back in, and all I do is I go in with my funnel and I literally heat it up. Done. I am all about lazy beekeeping.
The problem with that though is that if you take a yogurt container and you've got holes popped in it, you turn it upside down, the vacuum will hold it in place and they have to get their proboscis in to get it out. Doing it that way, you're using a cloth to keep it
If I
from.
had cloth and then this kind of just disperses throughout the whole top of the hive.
That's genius.
That's what George said.
That's-
See, that makes up for all the stupid things I did.
Don't take the yogurt container and poke it at the bottom and then the hole on top, because it'll just strain immediately, and then you'll have dead bees because they drown in the.
Well, it depends on how big your holes are.
And they'll propose those.
I mean, I
holes
don't feel
too.
like mine ran out. There was still some in there. But
It's easy and fun, isn't it?
Using 1 to 1, it'll run. 2 to 1, it might not run.
that's true.
And fondant. We keep talking about cake fondant. So cake fondant is like the blob that was it Chicago?
Well, Phoenixville.
Yeah, and you're trying to work with this stuff, and if you leave it out, like it's on my kitchen counter, it's warming up, and it's now 70 degrees, and you take a bread knife, real thin, sharp, serrated edge, you go, okay, I'm gonna cut this down right along that edge, and by the time you get to the bottom, the top is healed. Because it heals immediately. So what I do is I keep it in the freezer, and when I'm ready to cut it, I cut sideways across it, and with one hand I'm lifting, and the other hand I'm cutting, and I'm lifting and I pull off like a 1-inch block. It's kind of like whale blubber. You pull this off, then what do you do with it? Yeah. Movies. I've heard about it. So the little silicon molds for cakes. Okay, put it in the silicon mold. Guess what? If you put it in a metal container, you can't just flex it right out. If it gets warm,
Freeze it.
Well, even if you
Silicone.
freeze it, silicon's good for freezing.
Yeah.
You put it right back in the freezer. By the way, if your silicon mold is 1 inch tall and you put 1.5 inches of this stuff in, and you put it in the freezer, it will overflow even in the freezer because it never freezes. It's still a fluid. So just be aware that fondant can be a real.
I'm gonna piggyback on that. I think I like the silicone molds that are like bar soap shaped.
Yeah.
And then just half fill it, and then when you pop them, that's perfect for the hive.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
you
that's
got to
great.
know how big your shims are. You need to know how big your molds are. You need to know how much you're going to put in. You're going to put 2 pounds. You can put 10 pounds. You're going to use 1 pound, whatever it is. I've got a bunch of little square ones that are that tall. I've got some longer ones. I've got some really deep ones. You just have to work with it. Tony?
I usually take a sawzall, I get a long blade and I sawzall with like a 2-inch or a 1-inch slab. And then I take it and put it in a plastic Walmart bag or whatever bag, and I separate each little slab.
Yes.
And then I go to the hive and I turn it upside down and I rip the bag, and over winter they'll just plug right into that plastic bag.
Yeah.
And it's like an insulation. They love it that way. It keeps it moist, doesn't allow it to dry out as fast, and they'll snuggle into that bag all winter long.
Now, lots of other ways. Yeah.
Say, I like Monica's suggestion. If you're starting out, learn from your successful bee mentor. Learn one method. And as you learn that one method that's successful, after a year or two are really great, then you can start incorporating new ideas. Because otherwise you're going to get so overwhelmed, you're not going to know anything, and you're going to fail, and you don't want to fail. Failing hurts. You just feel bad about failing. So just learn one method, the successful method, and then incorporate new things as you get solidified.
And which is, so let's go in time. The successful mentor that you worked with this year, in 3 years, will be doing it slightly differently because it's all improvement. It's all about, I used fondant the first year, and I hadn't used fondant for 5 years, and this year I'm using it again.
No season's the same.
No season's the same. you know, you're learning different techniques, different cutting, the Sawzall. I tried the Sawzall. It was, I had fallen out everywhere, you know, it's like.
Slow learner.
Yeah, slow learner, exactly. All right, so,
Websites, or somebody in the public has a swarm of bees and is all nervous about it, they can call one of us. I'd love to teach somebody else how to do that swarm list. So I'm looking for a volunteer to, cool, I saw your hand.
You're it.
Yes.
Okay. Sold.
okay, who do we thank?
I'm Sean.
Sean. All right. Great. Okay, then thank you all very much for coming out today. I think it's been, I hope you all have enjoyed the day and a little bit of learning and maybe you learned something new. Carol, did you learn anything new?
Yeah.
Okay, then we call it a success.